Hey Dungeoneers, welcome back once again to the Dungeon Den. In this painting session, Skaventide, the Rat Ogres from the box set that I got. Impressive. They're impressive models, I like them. To be fair, Games Workshop, the detail is massive, but if people want to know why I gave it the 4 out of 5 for the Clam Rats, it's certainly because of things like this for the Rat Ogres. As good as the detail is, I mean, this could be me art practice from building them, cutting and putting them together, but some of the lines didn't match up, and if it is a point that I need more experience, then so be it, but I can't see it happening without a higher skill level or a higher knowledge level. But these particularly have got some big gaps, big cracks in them. On one of them, I haven't got the front loincloth because that could have been a me thing, cutting it out and not finding it. But it's always weird with the Games Workshop stuff when there's one thing you just can't find. It's odd, but that is probably a me thing. So scratch that basket. Probably maybe me. But this is it. This is tabletop standard. I got excited with the Clam Rats. I'm happy with the Clam Rats. The Orcs are like the cleanest thing I've painted. The best thing I've painted. The Orc skin and armor, it's so simple. But had lots of fun with that. The Stormcast Eternals from the Skaventide box set. That was meant to be the first videos coming out, but not only did I mess them up royally by trying to paint them all at once, not having the colours I wanted to paint them originally. I don't know why I thought I had them, which then led to some some bad decisions. I would have had all that on video for you as well, because you need to see the mistakes as well as the stuff that seems to be working as I'm learning to paint. But it must have been a bad omen, must have just been the stars were not aligned or something, I don't know. Because all my video footage was terrible. I don't know if it's just my computer, but the footage was terrible. And I'd put the phone at some funny angles and stuff. Clearly stressed out trying to paint the Stormcast Eternals. Have they turned out alright? You'll probably see them in an Age of Sigmar battle report, or one of the episodes, or a couple of episodes from my D&D campaign. But anyway, the rats went okay, 40 of them. It's just, if you've got 40 rats to do, you've got 40 rats. If you've got 40 anything to paint, there's 40 of them. So have a look at that video if you haven't already with the Clam Rats, because it was 8 to 10 minutes per model for 40. And they're at a tabletop standard, but that's where I'm at. There were 3 Rat Ogres. Comes with 3. 2 of them I did at the same time. One I was doing with a black coloured fur, and one I wanted to do with a brown coloured fur, and 2 different skin tones, or at least try and see. So I've kept the painting and the paints I've chosen very simple for me. I think that's part of the key. And as I was getting on with the first 2, when I got to a certain stage, kind of knew how I wanted to do the third one, so the third one was easily picked up and painted as the other 3 were, which was pretty cool. But without me babbling on, sit back, relax, and here we go. And here we go. A bit of camera shaking and stuff. I don't know what I was trying to capture here for the film or the edit. A real time spraying just to get the base down on these Rat Ogres. But here you are, it works. Spray can's really good, and as always, we're starting with the Slapchop style and dry brushing. Everything's set. Everything was ready to go. My dry brush is a little wet, when I use it. I don't know if that helps people or not, but it is. A lot of people still seem to have a bit of an issue with dry brushing, or say that it's hard. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes my models look wetter, sometimes they look drier, sometimes they're lighter. I just do it each time and carry on. That's simple. When I do dry brush, I am aiming for areas that would have light from a direction, or that I just want you to see because there's super high detail there. Like some of this front and the chest may not be lit in real life. I did it anyway. Although doing it, I'd realised that I did the clam rats with a different base colour. So I just cleaned the brush, dried it how you've seen. I do have a texture board here, but that's it. It is ready to use again to dry brush with the proper colour. Not white, which this is, but the old grey seer. This is what I did my clam rats with, and I wanted to keep it right so it had consistency. P.S. There's way too much paint, so using the texture pad, I try and get a bit off my brush before I start the dry brush. I hope this helps seeing, because it goes lighter the less you have on. And this is how much paint I'd have on my brush to dry brush, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to show this. But that paint, all that extra to the top left, it goes back in the pot. Yeah, it does. But that was enough to do all 3 rat ogres, and I just did it where I thought the highlight would be, or the sun would be. I said I wanted brown and black coloured fur. So I started with the nun oil onto the fur like I had done with the clam rats. Now, blocking the fur in on all 3 took the longest. It was the longest stage of the painting by far, because I was trying to do a good job. Short strokes everywhere. I'm just trying to be really neat and tidy. But I was noticing I wasn't very happy. These models are bigger than the clam rats, but clearly bigger. And the nun oil, it just wasn't having the effect I wanted. So the closest paint to me was the satchel brown. I did want 1 brown fur and 1 black fur. So here we go. It's got to be said, the ease of using a speed paint that's pre-mixed, yet sticks together enough to paint quite delicately or precisely, they're just so good. Same with the contrast paints as well. I seem to be able to use both. It is what it is. Whether you notice or not, I have tried leaving the roll of the skin on the model. Don't know what a model is. Trying to get the full coverage in, but leaving the rolls of skin where the fur separates from the flesh itself and is kind of rolled over. Some of it I've hit like here, and some of it I've left. To be fair, I was trying to leave all of it, but this is the level of painting I'm at. I hit stuff I shouldn't hit. It's part of learning. But it was enjoyable, and these models, they just look awesome. They just look awesome. I'm not even bothered about what rules they have for when playing Age of Sigmar. I'll get into that when it happens. From a D&D perspective, these models are just awesome. They're going to look scary, and yeah, they're going to be a nightmare. I did have a smile on my face all the way through painting all of these. Sticking to script, gone back to the skeleton horde and this pink for the skin. Now, this mixture did end up being a 1-to-1. Ultimately, it threw me the colour it was giving on the skin at first. I wasn't expecting that, but well, you'll see how it turns out and make up your own decision. But with it being wet, a bit wetter, you can roll the paint onto the skin and blend it in with the dark brown, and it just works. Just helps it work. Really doesn't take much time, and you only need to be neat now around the bits that are getting painted in metal. Everything else, just slap it on. Short strokes, don't stop. The rat with the black fur, I decided to do the nun oil instead of the skeleton horde with the pink. That was probably the same 1-to-1 as well. And I love this, I've got to be honest. The moment this went down, I was a fan. And it's cool when you're painting and you've got that smile and you're happy with what's happening. It just gives it that little bit extra energy, a little bit more of a buzz. It helps you focus. This hadn't taken too long, so I decided to just get some of this pink on all the models and just highlight some of these raised pimples just to see. I felt like I had the time, so why not? And then got carried away and decided to highlight all the raised area as well. With it being wet, you can push the paint around here, and I'm glad I did. Personally, I'm glad I did, because I think it added to the model. And it took me a minute max, but well worth doing, because I think it helps the model. Like I say, these models are so detailed. You don't have to do much for them to look super cool, in my opinion. It is almost weird going to a layer paint after you've been using the speed paints and the contrasts. It's thicker and it runs differently. It's almost, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's hard for a few seconds, but it does make everything easier using the short strokes that you have to with the speed paints to be neat. I think it transitions over well to using all the other paints. But because there wasn't that much to do, I did paint all 3 of these rat ogres. Get the green on all the capes. Capes, cloaks, cloths, loincloths, loincloths. Yeah, whatever they are. I got it on all 3 at a time. Really didn't take long. And I was ready for this bit. I'm not going to lie. Using this skeleton horde for the metal, I was ready. I'd felt like I'd been concentrating for a little while, trying to be neat. Whereas this, you just get it on. Each model, I don't know if it even took me 30 seconds. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. 30 seconds model, but it was quick. I really didn't want to do too much here. The models, they were almost finished. So I was being super steady with this white. And the aim was just to hit all these crystals coming through the body with a bright white and then a shade of blue. And that was it. I was really, really happy with the models at this point. Like I say, as you're painting, if you start with the larger areas, it gets quicker and quicker to do. Just don't mess up here. I think I backed out of getting it into all the corners, which is completely ridiculous because you can go over and wipe it down instantly, but I think this is part of painting. It's you want to paint and you don't want to have mistakes to cover up. I don't know, or maybe that could just be me. Comment if your opinion on any of this, by the way. Feel free to drop it in. I'll answer it. I'll get there and do my best. This was exciting times. I was so close to the finish. And I still hadn't messed up too much. Looking at all three of these models, the blending, the time it had taken, still had the smile on my face. With the clam rats, I'd about lost my mind at this point. It's only 3 models. Chickened out there a bit and left it dark. But we were getting there. Now, if you've been paying any attention to these models other than what I'm showing you as I'm talking, you might notice a bit of highlighting on the skin, but we'll get to that in a moment. This is all that was needed with the shade paints. You could do a lot more here. You could dry brush, you could go lighter, you could make it glow around the area with dry brushing quite easily. But this was my limit. I was so close to the end of what I'd envisaged or had in my visions, either one, that I didn't want to push it. So that's all I did on the crystals. This was the 3rd Rat Ogre. And yep, I decided to do the black there, but with the skeleton horde and pink skin. Now before I did the mix, you can see on the shoulder this colour, that is skeleton horde, straight over onto the skin. And then this is a mixed pink and skeleton horde, going over it as a layer. And I was a fan. I was getting another different skin tone. I suggest messing about with all sorts of colours if you're going to do anything like this, or if you're painting along. If you are the type that paints along, like I do to a lot of videos, pausing it and painting and trying to do, then 1, that's super cool, and 2, it'll give you a chance to either copy me or see where I go wrong, and this could be one of these calls. If you'd notice on the rats previous, they had a highlight on them. Now this is because I did this to all of the models, and the moment I put it on right near the end, I thought to me, oh no, I've messed it up. But you will see later in the videos, in the pictures to come in a moment. Last thing, bloodletter all over the army. I really like this. It is a real simple look. And it doesn't matter what you do. Put it on heavy where you want it heavy. Put it on light where you want it light. This takes seconds. Slap it on. I mean, make sure you just stay onto your metal. But that's it. Before you know it, you have 3 Rat Ogres. Tabletop standard. Easily done. It is what it is. Guys, watch all the way to the end. The ratings will go down, and it's my opinion, by the way. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've been entertained. Thank you for your time. I'll catch you again later on. Free your creativity. Bye.